Okay, let's take it from where we're looking at the market with a very tentative, cautious, bullish outlook on this week, assuming it breaks resistance. Let's look at it by sector. Now, we're looking seasonally for utilities and industrials to do the best. Let's start out here, just kind of alphabetical order. Basic materials has been coming up off of lows and appears to be trading into resistance, very much like the major market indices, forming cup and handle, kind of drawn out, extended out. And from a weekly perspective, it's kind of a kiss goodbye zone. So I'd be very, very careful with basic material stocks. The energy sector, here we got the weekly data popping open here. Looks like it's taking just a moment. Let's pop over to the daily time frame while we're waiting for that. On the daily time frame here, the energy sector has put in kind of what I would say is head and shoulders looking here where it broke a support zone, but it came in with a hammer on super high volume. And a hammer on super high volume kind of in a, from here to here, that's a breakout. And the retracement of that zone is in that like 60% Fibonacci area. So it's kind of like a double bottom W breakout, retest. And if we look at it from that weekly perspective now, let's see if that weekly data came in. It could be, oops, scrolled through one too many times. There we go. From the weekly perspective, kind of a double bottom, higher lows. Let's load up a little bit more history. Let's go load in here and go, let's go get 10 years. Let's go 20 years weekly. Just get a ton of data in that. And here's what I was looking for was some sort of primary trend zone. That's what I was looking for right there, is primary trend. I was just wondering if this is an area to watch out for. Key support resistance neighborhood. So just big picture energy, I'd be cautiously bullish on that based off of what we see here. Okay, now financial sector. Weekly perspective, a little too much in there. Let's zoom in on that. Coming up into possible kiss goodbye zone. Hammer bullish above all the moving averages on the weekly. Here on the daily time frame, looks like a cup and handle above all the moving averages. Overhead resistance on the financials. Very cautiously bullish. Look for sector leaders. Industrials is we're looking for seasonal strength. Now this is interesting here on the daily time frame. It's trading down below that 200 period moving average. Now I'm not a huge proponent of moving averages, but a lot of traders look at them. When you can say like, oh look, it's bouncing off that 200 period moving average. Well, that also if you kind of look back, it's a known support resistance neighborhood, and you can just kind of attribute it to that ballpark. Resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance could be. Watch for that to power through because it's also, again, here's a shallow trend zone. And if we were to look at that weekly perspective, let's bring in a little history on that. Kind of trading in a consolidation kiss goodbye area. So I think that overhead resistance area could be strong. Kind of trend zone in that zone there. So that's kind of what we're looking at there. But it is in a daily uptrend, so watch for that to see if it can power through. Otherwise, don't be surprised if we see a reversal. You're really looking at this where this could end up being kind of an M for murder if it breaks down, or you're looking at it turning into an ascending triangle if it continues to press up. So use your imagination on those. Moving on to the technology sector. Okay, so technology. Leading the market is the NASDAQ. It's cup and handle, clearing resistance, and this one actually is closed right at that resistance on that. And doing so on pretty healthy volume. From the weekly perspective, it's trading to all-time highs, so you're going to be bullish on technology. Staples, trading right at resistance on the weekly time frame. And from the daily perspective here, it has, just kind of from what I can see, I'd probably draw this out as, look, we got overhead resistance out here. It broke the minor broke that minor resistance. It just formed right in here, and that kind of gives it its own little sense of a cup and handle restart, strong volume, overhead ceiling. So watch for it to bump into that ceiling, but to continue its posture based off of the close. So utilities is supposed to be one that runs for us well seasonally, and it's not been doing so hot. It's one of the worst performers in November, but in December it's supposed to do great. And we consume a lot of electricity and a lot of oil this time of year. Oil prices being down, and energy being regulated. You could see a forecast for some bullish posture now. From the big weekly perspective, it's in a primary trend zone, and this is where you'll see very, very strong trend channel. I think we drew this out last week and just said, look, this is the bottom of a very strong channel, and there's no reason it can't go up. Here's an example of it doing like a quadruple bottom before taking off, triple bottom before taking off, double bottom before taking off. So here it is, possible triple bottom, and it's just kind of set up there, would have room to run. Seasonality suggests that it should be bullish. So as we drop into the daily time frame on that, and we're looking for signs, one of the things I noticed is you had some pretty heavy volume at the bottom here, and then Friday's upward candle wasn't the strongest part, but it's done a little, chop, three-wave down. So this is actually kind of a down, chop, up, down, chop, 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 up, down. So it's hit, general cycle. We already know it's in a trend zone. And what I'd want to see is maybe to drop this intraday. We can go add another, section to the grid here. And set this intraday. So let me go load up a style real quick here. And we'll drop it down into, say, an hourly and 30-minute time frame. So 30-minute time frame, and it looks like we're showing some after hours data here, but I'm looking for the biggest spike of data on that bottom and above average volume. Where did it really come in here? Let's go 15 minutes and see if we can spot that. Heavy volume at the open, heavy volume at the close. Pretty typical. Came in buying on the bottom. A lot of that reversal came in on lighter volume, closed heavy volume right at the highs. So kind of here, I would see intraday utilities, cup and handling at the end of the day. What I was looking for is volume correlations, is where did the strength come in, and it came in the close near the high. So I'd say cautiously bullish on utilities. Again, choose good, strong sector leaders. Okay, healthcare is typically recession resistant. It's below its 200 period moving average. Bullish engulfing style candle. Well, really more of harami, big heavy harami because it's inside. Close right near the high. From the weekly perspective, you have a big drop, kind of maybe kiss goodbye zone, but just overall, typical volume on that, more sideways than anything, so I'm relatively neutral on healthcare. And then last but not least, cyclicals should be good this time of year. In bullish candle, forming cup and handle on that weekly perspective, trading near all-time highs. I would dare say I think we have, as far as like channel goes, there's room to the upside on that. It's near the top of the channel, but depending on how you draw those, it's testing to new highs. I think that that's got some bullish potential. Watch for closes above resistance for really strong confirmation. And just a way to think about it, and maybe you leg in a little bit, you can buy before it breaks out, add to the position as it's broken out confirmation, or you can wait for confirmation for breakout. That should wrap up our sectors.